Dear Christ Fellowship, thank you so much for investing in us and in our generation. It truly has been so good to grow up in your house. Living in the culture we live in, with so many things fighting for our attention, we have peace and confidence thanks to your constant encouragement.
Our story started back in the early 90s. I had gone to Christ Fellowship. Every weekend we were at Christ Fellowship. It wasn't hard for our kids to get excited about going to church because it was a cool place to be. When they opened that Life Center and they had the big tree with the slide and stuff, they had to kick us out of there.
In hindsight, I can see how God was just setting us up to have a place to heal, a place to grow.
When you take two very different people and you join them in a union and you smash them up against each other in a little house, and you start doing life, it gets real fast.
I initiated a lot of turmoil because of the turmoil I had in my life.
We just had a hard time resolving things and coping with things weren't working. We were as close to being divorced as you can be. I didn't want this legacy of divorce for my family. I leaned in to God as much as I ever had. There were guys that I would pray with every morning and that I was going to a men's group with. These guys all gathered around me and prayed. My phone starts ringing and it's Miriam. And she goes, well, I just want to tell you that I want to reconcile. I want to get back together. And I just started bawling, crying.
Learning from sisterhood and Julie and Freedom Encounter, just going to different classes, being in Christ Fellowship gave me the foundation to battle what I needed to battle. I definitely believe that without the church and the church family, our marriage would not be what it is right now. We would not have survived.
But when they decided they were going to launch the Jupiter campus, we knew that it's time for us to really get all in. It's where we feel like we belong, and it is our family. I want my kids to feel like they want to hang here. The influence that they're going to get here is going to be hands down better than anywhere else.
Christ Fellowship got there first in our lives by being the rock we grew up on, and the reason our faith has grown to where it is today. Growing up, we attended Christ Fellowship ever since we were little babies. I always looked at it as a fun thing to go to on a Sunday and never realized that it was actually changing me for the better. Christ Fellowship is different. This one group leader came up to me and started having a conversation with me, and every week I would go, every week he'd pour into me more and more. And so now, as a high schooler, I'm able to pour into these middle schoolers because of what that group leader did in my life. My student pastor, who would come to my football games, I would see him at church, I'd see him at school, he'd lead first priority, so I'd see him all the time, and it was just good to always be surrounded by people that would keep me accountable. I wanted my friends to be saved. One by one, they all started coming, and then they'd come on Sunday, and then they started serving. This one football friend I had, I kept inviting him to church, and one week he caved in. He came with me and my brother, and we all just leaned into worship, and he gave his life to Jesus, and now he invites his family and his younger siblings to come with him. I remember him walking up to me at school and he was like, I just want to let you know, I gave my life to Jesus and I appreciate you not giving up on me. You have made it easy for us to invite our friends who have come and seen Christ's goodness. Now, the futures of our friends and even their families will never be the same.
For our sons to be so committed to Christ and to feel so comfortable that they want to invite their friends, that means everything to us.
I want to thank the people that have given to Heart for the House, because it has saved my marriage. It has opened doors for my children that I could not possibly have seen.
40 years ago, I don't think they could have envisioned where Christ Fellowship is now. I don't think anybody could. The hands and feet of Jesus is like this, thing that people always says, but Christ Fellowship's doing it, and they're doing it with excellence, and they're doing it in a way that's honoring to God. And that's the secret sauce of Christ Fellowship. You can be part of that, and you can have eternal kingdom investment. And how do you measure that?
Our whole family has been, and even our kids one day will be impacted from being planted in this church. We're so excited to see what God will do next through this place. We're all in for the ride. Thank you.